This is part 2 of a special 2-part presentation that puts a spotlight on the POWs from the war on drugs. Ladies and gentlemen, green fever. Thank you for taking time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to an encore presentation of Time for Hemp Live. Time for Hemp Live is heard every Monday through Friday on AmericanFreedomRadio.com from noon to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I ask that you and your friends make it a point to tune in. With that said, let's take Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. An acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Yeah.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on AmericanFreedomRadio.com and on AM, FM stations all across America. I want to give a big shout out to all my friends up in Canada and say thank you to KDK Distributors for being nice enough to give us a grant here to keep us strong and proud. And because of their help, we are able to get the message out. I also want to say thank you to AmericanFreedomRadio.com for doing such an amazing job at getting the message out and for lifting the voice of freedom. On the program today, we have Ken Unger. Ken's going to be giving us an update as what's going on with his case. And we also have Ed Rosenthal on the line. Hi, Ed. Ed, you there? And I know Ken's there, too. How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I see Ed on the line, but I don't hear him. I think Ed's going to have to call back in to make that happen. So, Ken, why don't you give us an update while Ed calls back in as to what's going on with your case?
Well, thanks to Green Aid and Ed Rosenthal, we put a down payment on my lawyer, who is now representing me, a normal lawyer from out here, a man by the name of Joe Welsh. Really nice guy, and I'm really grateful. He really wants to help fight this case, which is such a relief, at least for me it is. As far as the case goes, the prosecutor has upped the charges to include another felony count, this time possession with intent to distribute.
Wow. Well, Paul...
He went from 15 years to 30.
How many? 13 to 30?
15 years to 30.
Good Lord. Paul, Stanford, and Ed Rosenthal are now on the line. Paul, Ed, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be with you. Thank you.
So, Ed, Green Aid has been doing what they can to help with Ken's case, and it's pretty kind and gracious for Green Aid to reach out like that.
Oh, I was completely amazed by their generosity. And they were the first ones to jump up and say, how can we help?
We think this is a very important case, and we think that it's going to help change the paradigm in Missouri. So the prosecutors there are running rampant, and we feel that there is a possibility to curb these mad dogs.
Now, how is this going to change the paradigm of the state?
Well, first of all...
Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, first of all, in Missouri, you can't even use medical as any form of defense. As far as the state is concerned, marijuana has no municipal uses, and thus any reason you give is illegal. So you're automatically wrong no matter what you do. This is something we're hoping to change.
And and Ken's case, is one that where there's a very definite cause for his illnesses, and it has to do with patriotism and being in the service, and then to deny him proper medical treatment. What I call that is medical terrorism, and these people who would deny him treatment are all terrorists, and that's what we're fighting against, as much as fighting terrorism overseas or anything. But when people know that a certain treatment will help and deny a person that treatment or the ability to get that treatment, that's terrorism.
And unless I'm mistaken, Paul, isn't Mollie and Robert up against that too?
Yeah, well, they turned themselves into federal prison for 5-year sentences on Monday. They're in Sacramento, California. So they're now split up. They're going to put them in different parts of the country, and it'll be a long trip for their family to come see them. But they, their whole ordeal started back 10 years ago, just after the 9/11 terrorists and the terrorism against them, and all of our fellow cannabis community members continues unabated, really.
And they have specific medical needs that need to be tended to behind bars, don't they?
That's right. Dale Schafer is a hemophiliac and chronic pain sufferer. He has discs compacted in his back. So he's been on, because they took away medical marijuana, he's been on narcotic prescriptions. And so they're going to spend $10,000 a month taking care of Dale and Mollie just in their medical costs. And
well, not only that, but they could cost them their lives. I mean,
exactly. It's the question of where either one of them will live through the 5 years of federal incarceration.
That's true, because, let's face it, the narcotics cause plaque to build up in your arteries. It was what led to me having 3 major heart attacks, and I'm only 52 years old. I never had any heart problems until they started pumping me with more and more and more narcotics. I don't even know if they'll be able to survive 5 years on narcotics like that.
I'm not sure whether they will or not, but neither one of them are youthful at all. They're both in their late 50s, and their youngest child just turned 18, so a child has to live with that since his early childhood, with the federal government's intrusion on their family life with their raid starting back in 2001.
Yeah, well, I understand that point and a half. The DARE program is the reason that I'm in the problems that I'm in. A child telling another child something on a playground was enough for a cop to come to my house wanting to search my house. It's just gone insane. It's not like there's any. It's like arguing with people about the Earth being flat. They don't care what you.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
They don't want to know what you think. They don't.
Science doesn't matter.
Right. And when you can have a law that declares medicines that doesn't even include doctors' opinions, where are we? How do we differ so much from the Soviet Union?
The Soviet Union's got a little bit better. So I wouldn't say they have a great lot in this world today, but seems to be a convergence.
Now, how are you moving forward with this in court? Do you have a strategy, Ken?
Yes, they have a strategy. No, I'm not allowed to talk about it, unfortunately. But let me say that at least this lawyer doesn't want to just process the paperwork. That's the biggest difference right here, is he wants to fight this case.
What, the last lawyer didn't?
The last lawyer wanted to accept whatever was offered. from the prosecutor. She wasn't interested in fighting the case. She was interested in making backroom deals.
Wow. Now, Ed, will you be out there when the case starts?
Probably I will.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to meeting you, sir.
And I think that this is, we've been doing a lot of work. Green Aid has been doing a lot of work in Missouri, and we think that Missouri is an important state because it's possible that they're going to actually have a legalization initiative in this coming round of elections, and it's very important to educate people about the oppression that they're living under. And unfortunately for Missourians in general, but fortunately for us in demonstrating that, the police departments in various jurisdictions in Missouri have shown just how crude they can be. So they've actually helped. They're helping in the campaign just as with, this case should not be a case. Ken Unger should not be prosecuted. He should not have to defend himself. And the fact that he has to, that brings it all home. So we think that this is very important, and we think that Ken is a perfect candidate for this. I mean, in that he has a very compelling argument, and he's a great guy.
Thank you, sir.
And he's tough, and he's very brave.
Ken, what has been the reaction in the community as a general whole, from the press to the people in your town?
I was frankly surprised when I went to the courthouse the last time because there was people milling in the hallways with their cell phones saying, "Oh, wow, you wouldn't believe it. Ken Unger's here." And it's like, you live forever and a day hiding away from most people because you don't want to give yourself away for smoking. And it's just so strange to suddenly be, "Oh, wow, I know him."
You're out of the closet, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm out of the closet. Who would have known? But it is like a breath of fresh air. I mean, you spend so much time being afraid, and then all of a sudden it's on you. Kind of liberating in a way. Now I'm allowed to call it medicine.
Well, that's what it is, medications. And, Paul, you know that for a fact just from the hard work that you're involved with.
Yeah, well, we've helped a lot of patients get their medical permits, but it's still very oppressive in states where patients are treated like criminals. There's no option for them to become law-abiding. And then you look at people like Dr. Fry and her attorney husband, Bill Schafer. They were following their state law. They only were arrested with 34 plants, but then they went and added up 3 years' worth of plants to get over 100 to make them face a 5-year mandatory minimum sentence. So here they are trying to comply with the law and stay well under any limit under their state law or potentially federal law, and the feds go out of their way to add multiple years gardens and say, okay, well, you really grew this many over this many years, and so now you're going to face, an incredible period of time in prison. So I really think the only solution is to legalize it entirely. I hope there's an initiative campaign there in Missouri to do that. I know they're working on one in California. There's one, Sensible Washington, is in circulation now in the state of Washington. The Schafer group and Mason Divert in Denver, in Colorado, are working to put together one there. And the Marijuana Policy Project's been working on one in Nevada. I'm not sure whether that one will go forward. Of course, I'm working on one in Oregon to end adult marijuana prohibition, legalize the sale of marijuana, and restore industrial hemp. So that's the real solution, is to legalize it and let everybody out of the closet.
Well,
Yeah,
it's getting very frustrating as well to watch the federal government run and grasp at straws and then change the rules while the ball is still in play, so to speak. Like they've done here, like they did to Mollie and Robert, like they've done to Lynette. And, what can be done about that?
We just have to continue to persevere and encourage others to get active and educate and be politically active. That's the solution. That's what we have to do. It's a multi-pronged approach, and it takes a lot of dedication. And it's going to take a lot of us doing it to make the difference. But that's what it takes.
Well, it certainly has been rather frustrating for me to watch that occur these past couple of years when we thought we had them cornered at the voting booth, and we thought we had them cornered with facts and understanding and political sympathy from Congress and the Senate and public understanding. Boom. From behind bars, they start changing the game plan again. And it's just... Well, we got to take a commercial break here and pay our bills while we ponder on that. And you need to ponder on that as well there at home and scratch your head and ask yourself why it is our government is so afraid of this plant, why it is they are so afraid of using this plant for fuel, for fiber, for medications. And as somebody once said, follow the money. Well, we're going to follow the money now. We're going to pay our bills. Please let our sponsors know that you heard about their website and their products on this show. Tell your friends how important it is to get involved. And when we come back from this commercial and music break, we're going to take more time for hemp.
Treating Yourself Journal is written by patients for patients and has grown into a worldwide source of remarkable information. This journal provides patients and their caregivers information on different methods of growing medical marijuana for themselves and introducing healthier methods of taking their medicine. TreatingYourself.com is the largest, most comprehensive medical marijuana website on the net and is focused on the responsible use of marijuana as it applies to medicine. Treating Yourself Journal can be found in many bookstores worldwide like Borders and Barnes & Noble. Look for it at your favorite store. If you can't find it, demand it. Then go to treatingyourself.com and buy 2 subscriptions, one for you and one as a gift for a friend. Treating Yourself Journal, the most valuable resource for the global medical marijuana movement.
Yo, what's up? Check this out.
The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Listen to the Vinny Eastwood Show on American Freedom Radio. Live worldwide weekdays 5 till 7 Central. It's the Vinny Eastwood Show on American Freedom Radio.
When Mark Emery can be free to run his business and sell his seeds, it's just a plant, it's just a weed. Another victim of corporate greed. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. We burn the oil and cut the trees, while the captains of industry, they run a big monopoly on everything but the birds and bees. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. fiber, food, and fuel. You heat it up, it makes you cool. Illegal brownies, oh my, my. It makes you laugh, but it makes me cry. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's a medicine for many ills. It's cheap and safer than all those pills. It's in the Bible, 1 Genesis 29. It's also simple, it repels the mind. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It makes a job, but it makes no sense to give the peace when you can sell defense. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
Thank you for taking time for Hemp. I am your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on AmericanFreedomRadio.com and on AM/FM stations all across America. I want to give a big shout out to all the listeners in Japan. If you want to help people in Japan, please go to DoctorsWithoutBorders.com, donate. And also, if you want to help people in our country, go to green-aid.com. You can make a donation there and help people like Lynette Shaw and Ken Unger, our joint guest today with Ed Rosenthal and Paul Stanford. Been reading here. It says the U.S. Attorney General for Colorado has warned state lawmakers Tuesday of this week that pending legislation adjusting rules for medical marijuana would conflict with federal law and could lead to federal prosecutions. U.S. Attorney John Walsh's letter was sent to Colorado Attorney General John Suthers in response to his request for clarification on how federal treatment of medical marijuana use may conflict with pending legislation now under consideration in House Bill 1043. The Department of Justice remains firmly committed to enforcing federal law and the Controlled Substances Act in all states, Walsh wrote. Thus, if the provisions of HB 1043 are enacted and become law, the department will continue to carefully consider all appropriate civil and criminal legal remedies to prevent manufacture and distribution of marijuana and other associated violations. How sad, how pitiful, how disgusting, how embarrassing that grown men are afraid of a plant that would free us from foreign oil, create jobs in our country. It's also a no-brainer. We would stimulate the tax revenues that we need for our coffers. Grown men are afraid of a plant to the point that they're willing to ruin lives like Ken Unger. We've gotten the same response in Washington, California, and in Oregon. Paul, address that, please, and then we'll pass it to Ed.
I think it's very, very clear that there's been some move at the national level, and my suspicion is it's coming from the Drug Enforcement Administration. They recently, Obama nominated the Bush-era vice administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration to take over as the head administrator of the DEA. And so I think that there's something coming from that evil agency, the forces of darkness is what I call it. And they are contacting through the Justice Department every single medical marijuana state now. Is the U.S. attorneys in those states have come out and said that, you know, they're going to pursue federal prosecutions. Of course, they've been doing that for some time in California, as Ed directly experienced. But now the U.S. attorneys in Washington and Oregon and Colorado and Rhode Island and Arizona and in Michigan and every single medical marijuana state out there are coming out and saying that they're going to start prosecuting people even if they are complying with the state law. And then threatening in Washington State and Colorado and Arizona and the states where there are regulations from the state on the medical marijuana industry that's blasphemy. They say they're going to go after the state officials that administer those programs. And, you know, I carry a couple of different state permits from state health departments in my pocket that say I can legally possess, use, and grow medical marijuana in those states. And so they're saying that the fact that those states are issuing those permits makes them part of a conspiracy to cultivate and violate federal law. And so one of the things is Governor Christine Gregoire in the state of Washington now has said she's going to move to have marijuana rescheduled. And but then there's the great danger that then there'll be a pharmaceuticalization of cannabis, that big pharma will come in with Sativex and the GW Bayer pharmaceutical company with their extract, and it'll lessen the ability of people to produce their own medicine economically. So there's a lot of dangers inherent in the current situation, and I really think the real solution lies in legalization. And I hope all these different states that are working on it are able to put that on the ballot and see it move forward here over the next 2 years.
And Ed, how is being addressed in California? How are the members of NORML and all the people who are working on initiatives there focused on this and dealing with your governor?
I think that Paul is right that it makes it more essential to go for full legalization, because the federal government, it's obvious that the federal government is trying to clamp back on this. What I don't understand is why. It's first of all, Obama is familiar with marijuana. He used it up until the time when he won the nomination, and obviously he's suffering from marijuana deficiency syndrome. But beyond that, not only from his personal knowledge, but politically, it's unbelievable that he's doing this, because who's he going after but his very own constituency? Those very same people who helped put him over the top on the Internet in the last election are the same people who said this is one of our most important issues. And first he laughed at it and shrugged about it, and now he's attacking his own supporters. It's an unbelievable situation, and I think that people are trying to come to the grips with the absurdity of it, because if it's not a situation that deals, there's a disconnect there, that somebody would attack his own supporters and risk losing that constituency, and losing constituencies beyond it because of that.
I think the only way to really look at it, and it's you ask why, and I think the real reason lies in the whole petrochemical paradigm. That when farmers can restore hemp, and we can make our fuels from hemp seed oil, biodiesel, and ethanol, biomass, and use the fiber for building materials and clothes, that there's going to be a lot less need for some of these large, capital-intensive, destructive, environmentally degrading industries, and that they know that, and that's the reason they made it illegal to start with.
I just don't see that, and I don't see them taking part in this. Instead, the people that I see taking part in it is the criminal justice system, and certainly
like
all
the
the opposition has, not just the DEA, the entire criminal justice system, starting with the DEA at the top and the beat cop at the bottom, and not only including the police, but the whole system, the judges, the district attorneys, the jailers, post-jail people. So that's who I see doing it, and that in itself is a marijuana prohibition in itself is a $30 billion industry, and that's why they would be opposed to it. But it comes from the top, and to say, oh, it's because he put in this person, and she's from the Bush administration. No, he chose that person. He chose that person for a reason. The person didn't come with that baggage. He chose the person that had that baggage for that reason, or for a different reason. He was willing to accept that. But with one stroke of the pen, or one verbal admonition to the Department of Justice, this whole policy could be changed. Not the law, not the regulations, just how the policy is administered. And certainly what we see is that Obama is not deferring to, but he's pushing this policy.
One statistic that I've not heard, I hear a lot of stats about how much it's costing and how much it's been costing over the years and all the things that are involved with that, but I never hear the number of people that the drug war employs, from prisoners, judges, and how many people would actually have to find new jobs with that one stroke of a pen, too. That's something that maybe they take in consideration. Does anyone know that one?
I know this. Netherlands is having to close down jails because they don't have prisoners to put in them.
Yep.
Think about that.
They're looking for new prisoners.
We're putting up private prisons all over the country, and the Netherlands is closing them down. What's wrong with this picture?
Are any of the national politics taking play in your courtroom? Do the judges seem to be swayed by public opinion, and do you think there's going to be a more leniency or a more stringent approach to your case in the courtroom?
Honestly, I think it's going to work the other way around, that they're going to be harsher because I wouldn't let them pull it off in behind the scenes. They're going to make it harsher penalties on me, just because I wouldn't play their game and I wouldn't sit down and let them do whatever to me. Because I'm standing up and fighting against this, it's angering them across the board.
Oh, yeah, instead of rolling over and taking a plea deal and making everybody a whole lot easier, you're also drawing a lot of
papers and giving them all my money and, whatever else. I mean... Yeah,
and you're drawing attention to, as Ed said earlier, just how absurd these laws are and that they are enforcing. We're going to take a commercial break here and pay our bills. We appreciate you listening in. This is a good time to pack a bowl and to pass it around with your friends. And like I said, please let our sponsors know that you heard about them here on the program. And also, make it a point to go to hemp.org. It's a great website to check out for lots of good information and some good videos on Ustream. We're going to take a commercial break and come back for more Time for Hemp.
Medical Clinic Clinics are the premier medical marijuana physicians clinic in the USA. THCF has offices across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan, and in California, Oregon, Washington State, Montana, Nevada, and Colorado. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 medical marijuana patients to obtain their permits to legally possess, use, and grow medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, MS, or other neurodegenerative diseases, gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, IBS, AIDS, cancer, spastic conditions, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or go to hemp.org. That's HEMP.org. Hemp is the most healthy thing to put in, on, and around your body. The great people at Hippie Butter agree with their huge selection of hemp-based products. Hippie Butter has hemp products for baby, bath and body, pain relief, pets, and food. Go to hippiebutter.com to see what product fits you. Hippie Butter products are 100% THC-free. That's hippiebutter.com.
This may sound strange, but I want to pay taxes. See, I don't drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. I relax with something science has proven is much safer, marijuana. And I want to buy it somewhere that charges taxes to pay for schools and roads, just like alcohol and tobacco. What do you think should profit? Are schools and roads or drug dealers?
Visit the Marijuana Policy Project Foundation at joinmpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
You're listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.
Listen to Time for Hemp, hosted by Casper Leitch. Afternoons, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central. Only on American Freedom Radio.
Your smoke on.
Yeah, baby, get your smoke on. Be loud, be proud, come out of the closet. Let everybody know that you are a marijuana smoker. You want to find a way to make the world a better place? Go to green-aid.com. We're going to be talking about the Ustream videos that Paul Stanford puts up for people to learn from every Friday from his live broadcast here in a moment. And we're going to be talking about Ed Rosenthal's amazing book. But I want to bring to the attention some information about our guest. I am former military, U.S. Army. I salute you, Ken. Ken Unger is a 100% disabled U.S. Navy veteran who was deemed unemployable by St. Louis. He was hit in the head with a 50-ton crane hook while serving in Grenada in 1983. He now suffers from 2 herniated discs in his back, muscle spasms, weakness, pain, and numbness in his legs. He has 6 coronary stents holding the arteries in his heart open and an artery bypass in his right leg. His injuries have rendered him weak, and he now suffers from depression as well as diabetes. Ken was prescribed morphine, and as a result, he had 3 heart attacks. He now uses marijuana, and from that, he suffers the munchies. The police department got a warrant to search his home because some little kid said to some little kid on a playground. That led to a search warrant, and then after they found marijuana growing in his plant, the police officer doing the arrest said, well, I assume, since he's growing it, he's going to sell it. Now, I know this because I'm an officer. I'm assuming. And I learned when I was a kid that when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. With that said, Ken, I salute you. Thank you, Ed, for bringing Ken's problems to the attention of the world. And, Paul, I'll let you kick off this round.
Well, I just want to take a minute to recognize a good friend of Ed and mine and yours, Casper, who passed away this past week, and that's Ben Mazzell. Ben was an inspiring example who organized things like the Great Midwest Harvest Fest, still one of the largest pro-marijuana rallies in the world that happens each September in Madison, Wisconsin, and the Weed Fest. And, his work in Madison pretty much opened up the state capitol to free speech, and that allowed state workers to take advantage of it, make a lot of headlines about the governor's attempt to limit employee bargaining rights and unions. But anyway, he passed this past week, and one of the things I know he would be leading the charge on is the Global Marijuana March, which happens this weekend. And so I'm sure if any of you or any cities out there where that Global Marijuana March takes place, then a friend of ours, Dana Beal, who's been leading it for many years, is locked in jail. And so I'm encouraging you to find out where the marijuana march is in your community and take part in that. That's a couple points I wanted to cover here, Casper.
Thank you. Okay, Ed, now we got a problem here with Ken. What are we going to do to help him?
Well, there are two things that people can do, and on our website and our Facebook page, Green Aid is reporting on the progress of the case, and you should keep in touch with that and keep informed, because there are times when we're going to need large numbers of people to rally behind Ken for his defense. That's one thing. And the second thing is both the Ken and Unger case and the other cases and activities that Green Aid is doing require money. Now, we're not talking about, we're not an organization like NORML or MPP that requires millions of dollars. Our fund drive this year is for $100,000, which is not a lot of money. But Ken Unger's case itself is costing us about $10,000, and so you can make a contribution directly to the case through us, and that's all tax deductible, because Green Aid is a 501c3 corporation.
Ken, how are you dealing with, God, you got enough to deal with the problems that your body's up against, with your heart and your arteries and your depression and your diabetes and just everything. And then, you got to pull in a living and put food on the table. And then you still got to be able to make, rational decisions as you go through the day, from, everything of what soap to use for your shower to what lawyer to pick for your case. What's running through your head after serving your country and putting your life on the line? That and especially the Veterans Administration has already come out and stated that veterans who have been prescribed by their doctors medical marijuana, the Veterans Administration has no problem with that. How must you feel?
Well, I've also got the added fun of having a 12-year-old at home, and he's been just overwhelmed by all of this. The pressure on him is frightening. It's affecting his schoolwork. It's affecting his home life. Because he can't be sure if his mom and dad are going to be home whenever he gets home, because the police might come by for whatever reason. And as much as I try to comfort him and tell him that it'll be okay, he really can't get past it, because he still sees the DARE officers every day, knowing what they did. But as far as me, I drag myself forth because Chris needs me to be the best dad I can be, and really, that's the best achievement any man can state, being a good father.
Now, With this being your first brush with the law and the fact that you served your country, injured in the line of duty, and are dealing with so many physical complications, what reality do you feel lies ahead of you to actually be behind bars? Will they give you house arrest, slap on the wrist when it's all said and done? Do you know? Any idea?
I get the feeling that if they get their dithers, I'll be behind bars. The last time they jailed me, it was a nightmare because I don't sit comfortably on anything that doesn't have any padding on it. Everything was hard. I barely slept the whole time I was there. It was unbelievable. It was a nightmare of untold. And they knew going in what my condition was, or they should have. I mean, if they called themselves detectives, they should have. So I expect the same treatment when they finally prosecute.
Well, then it sounds to me like it's attempted murder by our government, almost as if they're trying to kill you off.
Well, I mean, I can't live on the narcotics anymore. The plaque is building up in my blood still. I cannot go through another heart attack. I will not be able to survive another one. Yes, this is my only relief, and this is my only way to function as a complete human being. If it wasn't for cannabis, I would have been dead long ago. I'm grateful for the relief. I'm terrified that so much is being made out of it. So many people's lives are being shattered and destroyed over a plant that grows wild.
Well, it breaks my heart to see people who are already suffering physically to have to be in situations where their life is shortened by our own government's hands, especially after serving our country as well and caringly and loyally as you did. So I salute you. We're down to about a minute. You do a quick round. Paul, shout out for your website and your Friday show.
Oh, well, the Friday show is Cannabis Common Sense. You can see it at Ustream TV. That's the letter U, STREAM.TV. Then you put a cannabis show or just in your cannabis, it'll come up there. Then our website's hemp.org. That's hemp.org.
Ed, shout out for GreenAid, green-aid.com.
That's right. And also check out my blog. Just go on edrosenthal.com and you'll get my blog.
And Ken, you're in our prayers, and we'll be having you on the show and keeping up to date with what's going on with you.
I more than appreciate it, and thanks again for the book, Ed. I think you're right. The gardening is more addictive than the actual smoke.
All right, my friends, keep strong, and remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it's time for hemp.
Take another look and say sometimes.